So are you ready? Or do you need a rest?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be checking out the Transformers Legacy United Armada Universe Deluxe Class Wheeljack, the inevitable repaint of the shattered glass sideswipe, which despite also being a retool of the absolute fossil that is the original Transformers Siege version, actually appears to be fairly close to how he did appear on the show. So as we check out the details, the head sculpt is super Armada inspired, and has even surprisingly been painted front side to back. The slash going through the Autobot insignia is looking sick, especially with some of the internal cybernetics packed beneath, whereas when it comes down to the rest of the robot mode, with the exception of the colour scheme, he is unfortunately just a direct repaint, which whilst does result in an incredibly clean back profile, he is unfortunately missing these show accurate door wings, although there is a way to fake it until you make it. Which leads me on to Wheeljack's accessories. So up first, we do see the return of the show accurate batons, which in addition to being used as a pair of handheld weapons, can also be used in order to create for a slightly more show accurate look. So to kickstart things off with, you are firstly going to take the chest piece and then proceed to take the side doors and angle these here out to the side. For a finishing touch, we are then going to slap this bad boy back into place. And with the weapons now slapped onto the back, whilst undeniably this is still far from being perfect, I do believe that this is the superior look for this guy. And the third and final accessory does see the return of Sideswipe's iconic over-the-shoulder cannon, which at least here in the case of Wheeljack is pretty much a useless accessory, seeing as I don't believe he ever used this on the show. So yes guys, that does yet again mean that another Armada figure is left without his minicon, and apparently the reason for this is that it just wouldn't be in the budget, and I honestly find that kind of hard to swallow, especially as seeing as there are figures such as the Transformers 1 Optimus Prime that does exist and does retail for the exact same price point as this guy, a mold which now has to be by far one of Hasbro's most profitable. Now, sliding into this guy's posability, despite some of the issues I have regarding him not being a brand new mold, there is no denying that this mold absolutely slaps in the articulation department. So to begin with, the head is on a ball joint, this will look up, it will look down, tilt side to side, and can be spun left to right. The shoulders can kick both forwards and backwards, and they're out to the side. The bicep can spin, the elbow can bend. Unfortunately, due to the way he transforms, he does lack any form of wrist rotation, but more than makes up for it when it comes down to the waist rotation. I mean, check that out, guys. He also has no issues in totally pulling off the splits on the battlefield. The hips can kick outwards, they can be spun around here at the thigh, the knee can bend to 90, and then last but by no means least, seeing as he was originally a Transformers Siege figure, he is packing the iconic ankle rocker, which really allows you to get him into some pretty wicked poses. But Wheeljack is a cool dude, so let's see if he can pull off some cool moves. The time has now come for us to put him through the pose test. Now, flying through some robot mode size comparisons, we are firstly whacking out the shattered glass sideswipe. Now don't get me wrong, I still think this here is a pretty solid update, but this guy included the actual minicon. Now I guess it could be unfair to compare the two as this was released as part of a 2-pack, but even if you were to compare this against the original Armada Wheeljack, who I do believe came packaged with wind shear, he retailed for less than half of the price of this deluxe class. So I really can't help but feel as if though somewhere along the lines Hasbro is being super cheap, especially as we begin to bring out some of the more recent Armada updates, such as Hotshot, who was a complete brand new mold from the ground upwards. And considering that this guy is just a minor retool of a pre-existing figure, it really does come across as if though he ultimately got the short end of the stick. As next up, we have the Voyager class Starscream, who also was a complete brand new mold, and then a full-blown Commander class in the form of the legendary Armada Optimus Prime, which I think has to be not only one of the best releases of the past 10 years, but easily one of the biggest highlights out of Legacy completely. And then finally, the Armada Universe Leader Class Galvatron. Now, checking out this guy's transformation, I will say that this is easily one of the biggest charms of this mold. So for the first step, slide the fist inside the forearm and then proceed to bend inwards here at the elbow. Again guys, do the same here for the second side, slide the fist into the forearm and bend inwards here at that elbow joint. We are now going to take a hold of the entire chest unit and bring this up and over the top of the robot mode head. We are then going to take this panel and slide this here over the top of the faceplate. We are then going to take the side doors of the vehicle mode and angle these here out to the side. For the next step, we are then going to take a hold of the shoulder joint and collapse the arms inside the torso. Again guys, be sure to do the same here for the second side. We are now going to take a hold of that waist joint and spin this all the way around until eventually the back is now facing the front and we have unlocked that hidden girl walk mode. For the next step, we are then going to take the shins, pop these here open, take this panel, slide this all the way to the back, then take the foot and snap this here into place. Flip this guy around here to the opposite side, and again guys, do exactly the same here. So take the foot, snap this back into place, and then what you'll do, as I'm sure you guys would all guess, is proceed to combine all of this directly down the middle. Now the aim of the game is to take the lower legs and slide these here upwards by making use out of the knee joint, until eventually we are left with something which should be looking like this. You are then going to flip here to the underside, take a hold of those shin guards and proceed to snap those into place, and for one final finishing touch, we can then take the side doors, snap those into place, and that is the transformation now completely complete. Ripping his way through the multiversal portal in an attempt to stop being milked by Hasbro, here we have Wheeljack now fully transformed into his vehicle mode, and in his defense actually appearing to be pretty close to what we did see on the show. From a repaint standpoint, this guy's looking smart. The hood of the vehicle as ever is looking sick, although I do wish that maybe they could have gone for a slightly darker tint when it came down to that windshield, because to be able to see some of the internal joints doesn't look all that great. But as we do flip him here to the underside, there is next to no undercarriage kibble. The transformation, whilst incredibly simplistic, is actually super effective, and the wheels, despite merely being C-clipped on, will have no issues in burning energy on whilst cruising through that battlefield. And when it comes down to weapon storage, to match what we did see on the show, the batons can be attached onto the side, and that pretty pointless missile can be attached up top. But if you're like myself and for the time being don't mind inaccuracies, you can slap on Shattered Glass Whisper and pretend for the time being that he is Windshear. And despite this guy unfortunately not including any of the spring-loaded gimmicks as seen on the original, due to transformation the doors are able to be angled upwards to create for a full-blown battle mode, which at least when in vehicle mode I think is by far this guy's superior look. Now, racing through some vehicle mode size comparisons, we are yet again bringing out that Shattered Glass Sideswipe, and it's got to be said guys that in terms of which one is the better repaint, I think the Shattered Glass version absolutely wipes the floor with the Armada Wheeljack. This deco looks killer, although if you are strictly after show accuracy, then it's got to be said that he does look pretty decent stacked up alongside both Armada Hotshot and then finally Optimus Prime. So, wrapping up on this review for the Transformers Legacy United Wheeljack. This is definitely a pretty decent figure, but as with most repaints, could have been even better had it been a complete brand new mold. In comparison to the rest of the Legacy Armada Universe lineup, this guy isn't as spot on, potentially leaving the door open for Hasbro to produce an even better version later down the line. I also think the accessories are quite hit and miss, whilst the batons are sick. The missile launcher really has no business being included with this guy, and I think at this point it just adds insult to injury not to see the return of the minicons, especially as the Windshear mold does exist in the form of the Shattered Glass Whisper. In terms of vehicle mode though, he does appear to be pretty spot on. I do just think it's a shame that to round off the fifth and final wave of Legacy, Hasbro are giving us a mere repaint in comparison to some of the absolute bangers that we have seen over the past 3 years. I would love to get your guys' thoughts on this Armada Universe Wheeljack. Like myself, do you guys think Hasbro could have done better, or do you think this is the best it's gonna get? I would love to know your guys' thoughts down below, and until my next video, I thank you all so much for watching, transform and roll out!